For the first time, Lyra felt a quiet triumph, not arrogance, not pride, but the calm certainty that her training had worked. The galaxy had underestimated Earth's prototype, but now they could see her potential. Even the cadets who mocked her began to murmur, "She is different, dangerous, skilled." After the match, a mysterious observer from the Galactic Council watched quietly from a balcony, taking notes. Lyra did not know who he was, but she felt the weight of his gaze, a silent warning that her skill was being noticed, and that her actions could have consequences far beyond the academy. Back in the dormitory, cadets whispered in corners, some plotting revenge, others curious how she had done it. Lyra trained again that night, refining her sequences, her techniques, preparing for the challenges ahead. She knew this victory was only the beginning, not the end. Her reputation began to change. Slowly at first, but clearly. The fragile cadet from Earth was no longer just a joke. She was a rising force, her knife skills clever, deadly, and unlike anything the galaxy had seen. And deep inside, Lyra smiled faintly, knowing that the laughter of the galaxy had turned into fear, curiosity, and respect. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, stronger opponents, and greater tests. But Lyra was ready. Every insult, every mockery had shaped her. Every quiet night of training had made her stronger. The first victory was hers, and the galaxy had only begun to understand the power of Earth's prototype. News of Lyra's victory over Krell spread quickly through the academy and beyond. The whispers of her skill reached distant star systems. Some laughed at first, thinking it impossible for a human cadet to be so dangerous. But soon, reports arrived from 12 different star systems, warning that her knife techniques were too deadly. The academy instructors gathered urgently, debating what to do. "Her skill is remarkable," one said, "but we cannot ignore the risks." Another added, "If this spreads, other systems may ban training methods inspired by her." Lyra listened quietly, her green eyes calm, aware that she had changed the galaxy's view of human combat. Outside, cadets who once mocked her began to avoid her, fear and curiosity mixing. In their eyes, some tried to study her moves secretly, hoping to copy her technique. But Lyra kept her methods private, knowing that her skill was her own, and not something to be shared recklessly. The political pressure grew. Delegates from distant systems demanded restrictions, claiming her techniques could turn a battle deadly too quickly. They called for bans, warning that if humans continued training in this style, the balance of power in the galaxy would shift. Lyra was called to meet the academy director, a tall, stern figure with eyes that missed nothing. "Lyra," he said, "the galaxy fears your skill. Your knife techniques are now outlawed in 12-star systems. If you continue teaching or demonstrating them, you may face severe consequences." He paused, watching her carefully. "Do you understand?" Lyra nodded calmly. "Yes, sir," she said, her voice steady, betraying none of the excitement she felt. The bans did not scare her. They only proved that her methods worked, that humans had something unique, something the galaxy had underestimated. For too long, back in the training halls, cadets whispered her name like a legend. "She is dangerous," some said. "Her moves are banned beyond our systems." The mockery had turned into fear, and even admiration. Lyra moved through the hall quietly, her knife in hand, every step precise, every glance showing that she was prepared for anything. One night, Lyra trained under the stars again, alone. The quiet hum of the academy surrounding her. She practiced, sequences faster, sharper, testing the limits of her skill. She imagined enemies from the 12-star systems trying to challenge her, and felt a thrill knowing she could defeat them all. The bans did not stop her ambition, they only made her stronger. Each day she trained, she refined her style, discovering new angles, new tricks, new ways to use speed and precision over brute force. The fragile cadet from Earth was now the most feared student in the academy, and the galaxy had taken notice. Rumors spread beyond the academy, reaching even the Galactic Council. They spoke quietly of the human cadet whose techniques had been banned across 12-star systems. Some feared her potential in real combat. Others wondered if Earth would rise as a new power. Lyra smiled faintly as she practiced, her knife moving like water, her mind sharp and clear. The galaxy had tried to control her, to fear her, but she had learned the truth. Strength was not measured by muscle, by size, or by reputation. It was measured by skill, patience, and courage. And as the stars shone over the academy, Lyra knew one thing clearly. The galaxy could ban her techniques, mock her, or fear her, but they could never take away her skill. She was Earth's prototype, and her story had only begun. The galaxy was restless. A new threat had appeared. A fleet of alien raiders moving towards several star systems. Entire worlds faced destruction if no one could stop them. The Academy called for its strongest cadets, but the leaders hesitated. When they saw Lyra, the human cadet, whose techniques had been banned across 12 star systems, "Earth Cadet," the director said, "we need your skill, but be careful. Many fear you, and some will resist your leadership." Lyra nodded, her eyes calm. She had trained for this moment. She had proven herself against doubt, mockery, and fear, and now the galaxy needed her. On the battlefield, the alien raiders struck with overwhelming numbers, their ships fast, their attacks precise. Many of the Academy's best cadets struggled to keep up, but Lyra moved differently, small, fast, and clever. She led her team with strategy, anticipation, and speed. Her knife techniques were not just for duels, they guided her every decision, every movement. She directed cadets in ambushes, flanking maneuvers, and precise strikes. Her blade skills seemed to extend beyond the arena, becoming a symbol of human ingenuity and courage. Even the alien raiders paused, unable to anticipate her unpredictable attacks. Cadets who once mocked her now followed her lead, their trust in her growing with every victory. Lyra felt the thrill of command, not in arrogance, but in knowing she could protect lives. The fragile cadet from Earth had become a leader, her intelligence and skill unmatched. The battle reached its climax as Lyra faced the enemy commander. Towering and armed with deadly energy blades, the other cadets froze, unsure how to fight him. But Lyra moved forward, calm, precise, confident. She danced around his strikes, each movement calculated, her knife deflecting, redirecting, and striking with perfect timing. Finally, with a swift sequence that no one had seen before, she disarmed the commander and forced him to surrender. The raiders retreated, defeated and astonished. The galaxy had witnessed a small human cadet do what even the greatest warriors could not. Back at the Academy, Lyra's name was spoken with respect, and pride. The bans, the mockery, the whispers of furor had transformed into admiration. Leaders from 12 star systems traveled to meet her, to understand the skill that had turned the tide of battle, to see the human cadet whose techniques had reshaped their view of combat. Lyra walked quietly among them, her knife at her side. But her presence alone commanded attention. The fragile cadet was gone, replaced by a symbol of Earth's potential, a reminder that the galaxy should never underestimate human ingenuity, courage, and creativity. In the quiet of her room that night, Lyra gazed at the stars, thinking of the journey that had brought her here. The laughter, the mockery, the bans, all of it had been necessary. Every challenge had sharpened her. Every doubt had strengthened her resolve. The galaxy had laughed at Earth's prototype, but now they respected her, feared her, and celebrated her. She was no longer fragile, she was legendary, and humanity had earned its place among the stars. And as the Academy lights dimmed and the stars shone brightly above, Lyra smiled faintly, knowing that this was only the beginning. The galaxy had learned to respect Earth, and the story of the fragile cadet was far from over. The galaxy had never seen a cadet like Lyra before. She was small, fragile, and quiet, sent from Urza planet that many in the Interstellar Academy considered weak and outdated. She stepped off the transport shuttle and looked up at the massive training towers, feeling the weight of 1,000 eyes on her. The other cadets whispered immediately, pointing at her. "That's the new Earth cadet." One of them snickered. "She looks like she can't even lift a knife properly." Lyra kept her head down, saying nothing, but her green eyes observed everything. Her first training session was a disaster in the eyes of others. She fumbled with the basic knife drills, her movements uneven, her stance wobbly. The instructors frowned and shook their heads, while senior cadets laughed openly. "What a fragile little human," one said, and others joined in. Lyra felt the sting of their mockery, but she did not let it break her spirit. She remembered the stories of Earth warriors, humans who survived impossible odds with skill, cunning, and creativity. She closed her eyes for a moment and imagined herself as one of them. During the session, a small glimmer of something unusual appeared. Lyra's hands moved differently from the others. She did not just swing the knife. she watched the patterns of movement in the arena, noticing how the other cadets shifted, where they hesitated, and the openings they left. It was a subtle observation, but it gave her a strange advantage. After training, the cadets crowded around, mocking her mistakes, but Lyra stayed calm. She went to a quiet corner and practiced alone, moving her knife slowly, deliberately, her mind memorizing the dance of attacks and defenses. The other cadets could not see the strategy forming, and the instructors still doubted her. Rumors started quietly in the halls. The Earth cadet is trying something strange. Some cadets were curious, others were skeptical, and a few began to watch her secretly during night training, wondering if her strange methods could ever work. Lyra did not notice their attention. She was too focused on perfecting every small movement. One night, while training under the stars, Lyra discovered something incredible. A sequence of knife moves from an old Earth combat archive fit perfectly with the patterns she had been observing. It was not brute strength. It was precision, timing, and clever angles. She felt a surge of confidence, realizing that the mockery could never stop what she was about to achieve. The next morning, the academy hall buzzed with whispers. Cadets still laughed, but some eyes were curious now. Could this fragile human cadet really have a secret skill they could not see? Lyra entered the arena, holding her knife lightly, her mind sharp, her body ready. The instructors called the drills, and Lyra moved. Her blade danced through the air with surprising speed and control. Each movement flowed like water. Each step was calculated. The other cadets blinked in shock, some trying to imitate, but they could not match her subtle precision. For the first time, Lyra felt the quiet thrill of victory, not over others, but over the doubt that had weighed her down. The galaxy had laughed at Earth's prototype, but she had learned a was not always seen in muscle or size. It lived in patience, observation, and skill. As the training session ended, Lyra walked back to her quarters, her heart steady. The whispers of mockery still followed, but a few cadets looked at her differently. Now, the fragile cadet from Earth had shown a spark, and the galaxy had not seen the last of her after her first surprising success. Lyra thought the worst was behind her. She was wrong. The other cadets began to watch her more closely, not with curiosity, but with suspicion and jealousy. "We need to show her she doesn't belong here," one senior cadet whispered, and others nodded. Every drill now became a challenge, not just from the instructors, but from peers trying to humiliate her. They moved unpredictably, blocked her path, and whispered insults while she trained. Some even tried to trip her or steal her knife during practice, but Lyra remained focused. Her calm green eyes watched every movement, every small opening in their attacks. At night, while the academy was quiet, Lyra trained alone. The moonlight reflected off her knife as she practiced the sequences she had discovered. Each move flowed naturally, faster, sharper, more precise. The patterns she memorized became second nature, and slowly, the fear of failure faded. One evening, she heard footsteps behind her. A group of cadets had snuck in to watch. Thinking she would fail again, they hid in the shadows, whispering, "Look at her, she will fall tonight." But Lyra did not notice them. She was too absorbed in her practice, weaving through invisible attacks, each swing of her knife carefully calculated, each step anticipating multiple opponents. The next day, the mockery became public. Cadets openly laughed during drills, pointing at her. "Earth cadet thinks she is smart," one shouted. "She will get herself killed." Yet, something had changed. A few younger cadets paused, watching her carefully, intrigued by the subtle precision they could not copy. Lyra's secret training began to show results in small ways. She could dodge multiple attacks, redirect blades, and even turn her opponent's strength against them. During a sparring session, she used a move no one had seen before, spinning around Krell, the academy's top cadet, and knocking him lightly to the ground. The hall went silent. Cadets who had mocked her stared, their mouths open. Instructors frowned, some in disbelief, others curious. Could this fragile human cadet actually have a skill the galaxy had never seen? Lyra kept her face calm, not celebrating, not saying a word. Her movements had done the talking. Rumors spread quickly. "She is learning something dangerous," some whispered. "Her technique is strange, powerful, and unpredictable." A few cadets tried to ask her secretly to teach them, but Lyra shook her head. She did not want to share her secret yet, not until she could truly master it herself. One night, as she trained again under the stars, Lyra realized the academy had underestimated her in more ways than one. Her skill was not just in the knife, but in observing, predicting, and outsmarting her opponents. She could see patterns in every fight, movements before they happened, weaknesses others never noticed. The mockery had only made her stronger, sharper, more determined. Every laugh, every insult became fuel. Every sneer from the cadets reminded her why she needed to succeed. She was no longer just a fragile cadet. She was a human prototype, prepared to show the galaxy that strength was not measured by size. As the next day began, Lyra walked into the training hall, her knife in hand. Ready? The whispers followed her, but they were different now, mixed with fear, curiosity, and excitement. She could feel the eyes on her, and for the first time, she smiled faintly. The galaxy thought they had mocked her, but the real story was just beginning. The academy hall buzzed with excitement. Today was the day of the practice tournament, where cadets faced off in one-on-one matchups. Lyra felt the weight of 1,000 eyes on her small frame. Every whisper, every laugh from the other cadets pressed against her, but she remained calm. Her first opponent was Krell, the academy's top-ranked cadet, tall, strong, and arrogant. He sneered when he saw her approach. "Earth cadet, you really think you can beat me?" he said, and the other cadets laughed loudly. The instructors raised their hands to signal the start, and the crowd fell silent. Lyra gripped her knife lightly, her green eyes scanning Krell's stance. She remembered her night training, the sequences she had practiced, the movements she had studied. Every swing and step in her mind was perfectly calculated. Krell lunged first, fast and strong, trying to overwhelm her with brute force. At first, it looked as if he would win easily. His attacks were powerful, each strike designed to break her. The other cadets cheered for him, mocking Lyra quietly. "She can't last 5 seconds, they said, but Lyra moved differently. She flowed around his attacks, sidestepping with precision. She let him commit to his moves, then shifted her knife in a way no one had ever seen, deflecting his strikes, redirecting his momentum, and keeping herself safe. The crowd gasped as she spun, ducked, and countered, every movement elegant and deadly. Minutes passed, and Krell grew frustrated. His strength alone could not match her skill. Her small frame was faster, smarter, more precise. She anticipated his swings, dodged his thrusts, and finally, with a clever spin, she disarmed him, knocking his knife away and putting him on the ground. Silence fell. Then the hall erupted in shocked whispers. Some cadets cheered, others stared. In disbelief, Krell glared at her, too proud to admit he had been bested. The instructors exchanged looks, unsure what to make of this small human cadet.